I need you to be honest with yourself right now. How much of your energy, your time, your focus have you been giving away to people who don't deserve it? How many moments of your life have been wasted on approval, on attention, on the validation that never comes, on likes, comments, and notifications that disappear faster than they appear? You've been performing for a world that doesn't care about your process, only about your results. And in the process, you've been leaking your power, your focus, your potential. But what if I told you that everything you think you need to show, prove, or announce is actually holding you back? What if the key to dominating 2026, the key to becoming unstoppable, lies not in showing everyone your progress, but in mastering the art of silence, patience, and deliberate action? I'm not talking about hiding. I'm not talking about fear. I'm talking about strategy. I'm talking about understanding that the loudest people are not always the strongest, that attention without results is empty, and that the energy you waste broadcasting your intentions is energy you will never get back. Right now, your psyche is being trained by distraction, by oversharing, by constant comparison. Every time you post, every time you explain, every time you chase recognition before you earn it, you are strengthening a habit that will keep you small, mediocre, and predictable. But your mind is powerful. Your focus is a weapon. And when you learn to protect it, when you learn to act without announcing, to grind in silence, to grow in secrecy, to let results do the talking, that power becomes unstoppable. Think about the people you respect the most, the legends, the ones who dominate their fields. How many of them live in constant performance? How many of them feel the need to explain every step, to seek approval, to perform for attention? Very few. The reason is simple. They understand the psychology of influence, the science of respect, and the mechanics of success. They understand that intrigue creates curiosity, that discipline creates results, and that silence is not weakness. It's control, it's strategy, it's power waiting to be unleashed. Today, I want you to rewire your psyche. I want you to recognize the moments when you are performing for the wrong audience, the moments when you are giving away your energy to noise, and the moments when you are leaking your focus to validation that will never satisfy you. This is your wake-up call. 2026 is not the year you broadcast your progress. It is the year you become a master of action, patience, restraint, and unseen work. It is the year you let results speak, not excuses. It is the year you build intrigue and earn respect without begging for it, without explaining yourself, without showing everything. Your mind is capable of more than you think. Your potential is far greater than you realize. The energy you waste today could be transformed into discipline, focus, and unstoppable growth tomorrow. If you commit right now, if you internalize this principle, if you act while others perform, grind while others post, and grow while others chase applause, you will become untouchable. You will move differently, think differently, and operate differently. And when the world finally notices, it won't be because you asked them to. It will be because you earned it. So listen carefully, because what I'm about to show you is not theory. It's not hype. It's the blueprint to reclaiming your power, your focus, and your life in 2026. Stop showing everything. Start controlling your energy. Start dominating in silence. Start building a legacy that cannot be ignored. Everything begins in your mind. Everything begins in your discipline. Everything begins with the decision to stop performing for the wrong audience and start performing for your future. God, your energy is not just a suggestion. It is the foundation of everything you want to achieve in life. In 2026, the world has become louder, faster, and more invasive than ever before. Everyone feels the need to show, to share, to post, to declare every thought, every step, every small win. And in that need, people are sacrificing the most precious resource they have, their mental, emotional, and spiritual energy. Energy is life. And when you give it away freely, when you allow it to be siphoned by others who don't deserve it, you are losing the fuel that propels you toward greatness. Every time you explain yourself, justify your actions, or seek validation for your decisions, you are spending energy that should be invested in building, growing, and dominating your space. People talk about hustle and grind, but they forget the first rule. You cannot grow if your energy is leaking out in 1,000 directions. Guarding your energy is about understanding that not everyone needs to see your life, your struggles, or your victories. You don't owe the world your transparency. There is immense power in choosing who gets to witness your journey and who remains outside of it. The fewer people who know the full story, the sharper your focus, the more control you have over your emotions, and the less influence the world has over your trajectory. Think about it. Every time you post something online, every time you share something personal with someone who isn't truly invested in your growth, you are giving them a piece of your energy. You are allowing them a window into your life, a window through which they can judge, criticize, or influence you. And often they will. People will throw opinions like daggers, sometimes with good intentions, sometimes out of envy, and sometimes simply to remind you that your power exists in the realm of visibility. Guarding your energy means realizing that your time, attention, and focus are sacred. They are not meant for the masses, for casual friends, for social media approval, or for people who don't truly understand your mission. When you learn to keep your victories close, to celebrate privately, to handle your losses quietly, you start reclaiming control over your own life. The energy you save is energy that compounds over time. And compounding energy is how empires are built. Those who constantly display everything are giving away pieces of themselves that they cannot recover. Every like, every comment, every reaction is a micro drain on your focus. And cumulatively, it erodes the force behind your purpose. Guarding your energy is also about understanding that you don't need external validation to prove your worth. The loudest voices often belong to those who are insecure. People want to see your failures, your struggles, your efforts, because it makes them feel safe about their own shortcomings. But if you guard your energy, you build a sanctuary around your life, a space where the only person whose opinion matters is your own. You can make mistakes, learn, grow, and emerge stronger without anyone watching or judging. This is freedom. This is power. When you stop showing everything, you also stop being a target for energy vampires. People who thrive on drama, on gossip, on other people's lives. They feed off attention and conflict. And if you are always visible, you are always available to them. Guarding your energy means creating boundaries, even invisible ones. It means choosing when to speak and when to stay silent. It means deciding which conversations are worth having and which are distraction. Every time you engage with negativity, every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't understand, you are weakening your focus and diminishing your potential. The strongest people operate in silence. The most successful people accomplish things before anyone even knows they are happening. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing your energy is intact, that your mind is focused, and that your actions are untainted by outside influence. Guarding your energy is also a practice of self-respect. It is acknowledging that your life is yours to manage and that not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey. By keeping certain things private, you cultivate mystery, respect, and power. People begin to notice not just what you do, but the discipline, the restraint, and the wisdom behind the choices you make. They recognize that you are not controlled by the noise of the world, but by the clarity of your purpose. And when you live like this, your energy grows exponentially. You are no longer drained by unnecessary reactions, envy, or validation seeking. You have more time, more focus, more emotional bandwidth to put into the things that matter. Your goals, your craft, your mission. Guarding your energy is also about learning to say no, saying no to oversharing. Saying no to gossip, saying no to unnecessary explanations, saying no to anything that doesn't contribute directly to your growth, your strength, and your peace of mind. Every yes you give to someone else's curiosity is a no. You give to your own future. And in 2026, when distractions are everywhere, when the pressure to perform publicly is intense, Learning to guard your energy is no longer optional. It is essential. Your focus is sacred. Your time is sacred. Your mental space is sacred. The people who respect themselves and their goals understand this principle intuitively. They move with intention, act with discipline, and reveal only what is necessary. Every action is calculated. Every step is deliberate. Nothing is wasted. And over time, this discipline compounds into results, respect, and power. In conclusion, guarding your energy is about claiming ownership of your life. It is about recognizing that visibility is not always victory, that attention is not always progress, and that silence is sometimes the loudest statement you can make. When you stop showing everything, when you protect your energy fiercely, you are investing in yourself, in your mission, and in the future version of you that is unstoppable, unshakable, and uncompromised. Energy is the currency of success. And if you spend it wisely, you will rise faster, grow stronger, and achieve more than those who waste theirs on constant exposure. This is not about hiding. It is about strategically focusing, deliberately growing, and silently winning. Guard your energy like your life depends on it, because in reality, it does. Silent growth is one of the most underestimated forces in life, yet it is one of the most powerful. In a world obsessed with visibility, recognition, and constant broadcasting, those who choose to grow quietly are the ones who ultimately dominate. Growth, real growth, is not about posting every step, every accomplishment, every small win on social media. Real growth is the work you do when no one is watching. It is the late nights when you grind without applause, the mornings you wake up before everyone else, the hours you pour into improving your craft while the world is distracted by trivial noise. Silent growth is the hidden engine behind success, the invisible work that builds an unshakable foundation. And it is reserved for those who understand that progress does not require validation. When you operate in silence, you avoid the traps of ego and external approval. When every move is shared publicly, there is a subtle shift in purpose. You start doing things for recognition, for likes, for comments, for the nod of approval from people who have no idea of your vision or your struggle. Silent growth protects you from this. It allows you to focus entirely on your own development, to measure your progress against your own standards, not the fleeting attention of others. The world is filled with people who appear to be moving fast because they are always showing up online, always posting updates, always sharing snapshots of effort. But appearances can be deceiving. The loudest accounts, the flashiest posts, the constant updates, they do not always represent real growth. Real growth is lofty and quiet. It is subtle. It is gradual. It accumulates without anyone noticing until one day it explodes in a way that cannot be ignored. When you embrace silent growth, you gain a powerful advantage over those who broadcast every step. You gain time to experiment, to fail, to learn, to iterate without the pressure of public scrutiny. You gain the freedom to take risks that others cannot because your failures will not be magnified for the world to see. Silent growth is the cultivation of mastery in private. Every skill you sharpen, every habit you reinforce, every ounce of discipline you develop compounds in the shadows. It is in the shadows that your resilience is forged, your determination hardened, and your vision clarified. The people who understand this principle do not need to announce every move because their results speak for themselves. There is a quiet confidence that comes with knowing you are building something real, something lasting, something unstoppable. And that confidence cannot be shaken by outside noise. Silent growth is also a test of character. It separates those who are committed from those who are performative. The world is full of people who talk about their goals, who hype their plans, who promise big things in public. But when it comes to the private grind, the early mornings, the late nights, the uncomfortable sacrifices, they disappear. Silent growth requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to delay gratification. It is about doing the hard work first and letting the results tell the story later. It is about understanding that the applause can wait, but the work cannot. There is immense power in being underestimated. When you grow in silence, no one is watching closely enough to anticipate your next move. People may doubt you, question you, or ignore you, and that is exactly the advantage you need. Doubt from others becomes fuel for your fire. Ignorance from the world gives you space to develop at your own pace. By the time people notice, you are already far ahead, and the gap cannot be closed. Silent growth is also about focus. The more you reveal, the more distractions you invite. The more you explain, the more opinions you have to consider. The more you post, the more you compare yourself to others. Silent growth eliminates these distractions. It keeps your eyes on the prize, your mind in control, and your energy reserved for execution rather than performance. Another critical aspect of silent growth is resilience. When you develop quietly, you learn to measure success differently. You learn to celebrate small victories internally rather than externally. You develop patience and mental toughness because your motivation is intrinsic, not dependent on public recognition. This is the mindset of winners, doing the work because it matters, not because someone is watching. Silent growth also teaches humility. When you grow quietly, you avoid the arrogance and overconfidence that comes from public validation. You learn to value substance over appearance, depth over flashiness, and mastery over showmanship. This humility, combined with competence, creates a magnetic power that draws respect naturally without forcing it. The results of silent growth are undeniable. When the time comes to reveal what you've built, to showcase what you've achieved, the impact is multiplied because it is unexpected. People are often shocked by the transformation because they didn't see the work happening behind the scenes. This surprise becomes your leverage, your advantage, your moment of undeniable authority. Silent growth is not about secrecy for the sake of secrecy. It is about strategy, patience, and wisdom. It is about understanding the value of your energy, your time, and your potential. It's about protecting your process from unnecessary noise, judgment, and distraction. It is about cultivating an inner strength that is unshakable because it does not rely on external validation. In 2026, when the pressure to broadcast, share, and perform is at an all-time high, the power of silent growth cannot be overstated. Those who choose it will surpass the showy, the loud, and the superficial. They will become leaders, innovators, and forces that others cannot match. Not because they shouted the loudest, but because they worked the hardest, the longest, and the smartest, while everyone else was distracted by appearances. Silent growth is the ultimate form of leverage. It is the silent engine that drives extraordinary results. It is the invisible hand that shapes destiny. It is the proof that patience, focus, and dedication are always more powerful than attention seeking. And those who embrace it fully, who commit to it relentlessly, will find themselves in a position of unstoppable influence, undeniable achievement, and absolute mastery. In the end, the lesson is simple but profound. Grow quietly, work relentlessly, and let the results scream louder than words ever could. The world may not notice the effort, but it cannot ignore the outcome. Silent growth wins every time. The illusion of validation is one of the most dangerous traps you can fall into. And yet most people spend their entire lives chasing it without even realizing it. In 2026, with social media, constant connectivity, and public scrutiny at an all-time high, the pressure to be validated by others has never been stronger. Likes, comments, shares, retweets, and views have become the modern markers of self-worth. People measure their value not by their discipline, their skills, or their impact, but by how many people notice, acknowledge, or approve of them. This is a trap because external validation is fleeting, unreliable, and often entirely disconnected from your actual growth or potential. When you rely on validation from others, you give away your power. You surrender control over your self-esteem, your confidence, and your direction to people who don't have your best interest at heart. And in many cases, don't even know your true capabilities. Validation is an illusion because it is temporary, conditional, and often performative. People may applaud you today and ignore you tomorrow. They may praise you publicly, but resent you privately. They may encourage your efforts now, only to criticize them later. When your sense of worth depends on these unpredictable reactions, you are building your foundation on sand, and it will crumble the moment the tides shift. The illusion of validation is dangerous because it manipulates your focus. When you seek approval, your energy is divided between producing value and producing appearances. You begin making choices based not on your vision, your discipline, or your strategy, but on what will be noticed, liked, or admired. You are no longer building for yourself or your future. You are building for an audience that does not control your destiny. This is why some of the loudest voices, the most visible people, are not the most powerful. They are addicted to the noise, to the fleeting dopamine of approval, and their growth is shallow because it is dependent on others' recognition. Real power comes from rejecting this illusion. True growth, real confidence, and unshakable self-worth come from internal validation, from knowing your value independent of applause, likes, or acknowledgement. When you stop seeking validation, you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your freedom. You are no longer distracted by what others think, and you are free to pursue your mission with relentless intensity. The illusion of validation also robs you of authenticity. When every action is performed with the hope of recognition, you begin to shape yourself around what others want to see, rather than who you truly are. You compromise your originality, your creativity, and your integrity in exchange for fleeting approval. Over time, this habit erodes your self-respect, leaving a version of yourself that is molded by other people's expectations rather than by your own purpose and vision. Validation is particularly seductive because it feels like acceptance, but it is rarely genuine. People praise what is safe, familiar, or convenient, not necessarily what is extraordinary, risky, or groundbreaking. By seeking validation, you are essentially asking for permission to live your life in increments that others deem acceptable. The innovators, the leaders, the change makers, they do not operate in this space. They are not concerned with approval. They are concerned with impact, mastery, and results. The illusion of validation is reinforced constantly by modern technology. Every notification, like, or follower can trigger a sense of worthiness. And while it feels good temporarily, it is hollow. It is a hollow currency that can never pay the debt of discipline, sacrifice, and relentless effort required to achieve greatness. People addicted to validation often find themselves performing rather than producing. They speak to be heard rather than to teach, act to be noticed rather than to excel, and share to be liked rather than to grow. This creates a cycle of dependence on external affirmation that keeps them trapped in mediocrity. Breaking free from this illusion requires brutal honesty with yourself. You must recognize that your value is inherent, not granted. You must internalize the truth that the only validation that matters is the one you give yourself through effort, consistency, and the pursuit of excellence. This is not arrogance, it is clarity. It is understanding that the path to mastery, wealth, influence, or impact is not a popularity contest. It is a battle against your own excuses, weaknesses, and limitations. When you reject the illusion of validation, you also learn to control your emotional state. You no longer experience peaks and valleys dictated by other people's reactions. You are not elated by praise, nor devastated by criticism. Your emotional stability becomes a fortress that allows you to operate at peak performance, regardless of the noise around you. This independence is a superpower. It allows you to take risks others will never take, pursue ideas others would abandon, and execute strategies that may initially be unpopular, but ultimately revolutionary. The people who understand the illusion of validation are the ones who dominate quietly. They do not need to shout their achievements or display their progress at every turn. Their results, their discipline, and their character speak for themselves. And when They finally choose to reveal what they have accomplished. The impact is undeniable because it is rooted in substance, not in performance. The illusion of validation is also dangerous because it fosters impatience. When you measure success by how quickly the world notices, you start chasing immediate reactions rather than long-term results. You prioritize speed over quality, visibility over mastery, and applause over accomplishment. This impatience sabotages the work ethic necessary for true achievement and often leads to burnout, frustration, and disappointment. Rejecting validation requires patience, focus, and an unshakable belief in yourself. You must learn to celebrate your victories internally, track your progress privately, and measure success against your own standards rather than others' expectations. When you do this, your energy, focus, and commitment are fully aligned with your goals, and the results compound faster than anything you could achieve while seeking approval. In 2026, the illusion of validation is everywhere. Everyone is seeking attention, everyone wants recognition, everyone is performing. And this is exactly why those who refuse to chase validation will rise above. They are quiet, focused, disciplined, and unstoppable. They build their lives on a foundation of self-belief, hard work, and strategic action. They understand that applause is nice, but results are permanent. Recognition is temporary, but mastery is eternal. The illusion of validation is adductive because it promises acceptance, but it delivers distraction. It gives a fleeting sense of worth, but it cannot replace the confidence, focus, and power that come from internal validation. Those who understand this principle are free. They are unstoppable. They are the ones who achieve greatness quietly, consistently, and relentlessly without anyone's permission. And when the world finally notices, the impact is inevitable, undeniable, and unforgettable. Reject the illusion of validation. Build your life, your skills, and your legacy on what matters, not on what others see. The validation you need already exists within you. And once you claim it, nothing in the outside world can shake your confidence, derail your focus, or slow your progress. Patience is not weakness, it is power waiting to be unleashed. In a world that glorifies instant results, viral success, and overnight fame, patience has become one of the rarest qualities you can cultivate. Most people are in a rush. They want recognition now, wealth now, success now. And when it doesn't come immediately, they lose faith. They quit and they settle. But patience is the secret weapon of those who dominate quietly, the hidden fuel behind every long-term success story, and the key to building a life that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. When you cultivate patience, you develop the ability to see the bigger picture, to understand that meaningful growth, mastery, and impact take time. Every great achievement in history, every empire, every invention, every breakthrough was built over time through consistent effort, discipline, and the willingness to wait for results without being consumed by frustration. Patience creates power because it allows you to act strategically rather than react impulsively. When you are patient, you can resist the temptation to chase every opportunity that appears, to follow every trend, or to prove yourself to everyone who doubts you. You understand that not all moves need to be made immediately, and that sometimes the most powerful action is to wait, to prepare, and to build quietly until the time is right. Impatience, on the other hand, leads to mistakes, wasted energy, and missed opportunities. It forces you into reactive behavior, weakens your focus, and often results in outcomes that fall short of your true potential. Patience, in contrast, gives you clarity. It allows you to evaluate risk carefully, refine your strategies, and execute with precision. When you are patient, you are not distracted by the noise of the world, by the pressure of comparison, or by the opinions of those who do not understand your vision. You are anchored in purpose, and that focus is a form of power that cannot be taken away. Another reason patience creates power is because it builds resilience. Waiting, enduring, and persisting through periods when progress seems slow or invisible forces you to strengthen your mental toughness. You learn to tolerate discomfort, to resist frustration, and to maintain belief in yourself, even when the world is silent, indifferent, or critical. This resilience becomes a foundation for every other form of success. People who cannot wait, who lack patience, are at the mercy of their emotions, their impulses, and the fluctuations of external circumstances. But those who master patience have the ability to navigate setbacks, to endure delays, and to turn obstacles into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Patience also creates anticipation and respect. When you are willing to wait, to plan, and to act at the right moment, you generate a level of intrigue that commands attention. Others begin to notice your discipline, your foresight, and your ability to hold back while they rush ahead recklessly. You create power not through noise or performance, but through quiet control and timing that cannot be imitated. In addition, patience is intimately connected to preparation. When you wait, you have time to study, learn, and develop skills that others overlook in their rush to show immediate results. Every moment you spend building, refining, and perfecting in silence compounds into exponential advantage. By the time you act from a place of superiority, mastery, and unstoppable force. Patience allows you to resist the trap of instant gratification, which is the enemy of long-term success. In 2026, people are addicted to speed. They want instant recognition, instant wealth, instant status, instant approval. They sacrifice depth for quick wins, process for performance, and discipline for immediate pleasure. But true power is created by those who delay gratification, who endure the slow grind, and who commit to the process even when the results are invisible. There is a saying that the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, and patience is the fire that tempers you. When you learn to wait, to work, to grind quietly, and to hold your vision despite delays, you become unbreakable. Your power is not dependent on trends, circumstances, or approval. It is built on consistency, endurance, and mastery. Patience also allows you to make better decisions when you are not pressured by the need for immediate results or external validation. You can evaluate opportunities carefully, anticipate consequences, and choose the actions that align most closely with your long-term goals. Impulse leads to mistakes. Impatience leads to regret. But patience leads to precision and strategic execution. Furthermore, patience teaches you humility. It reminds you that success is a journey, not a race. It forces you to respect the process, to honor the lessons along the way, and to recognize that every step, even the slow ones, contributes to your ultimate growth. People who lack patience often overestimate their abilities and underestimate the time, effort, and consistency required to achieve greatness. Those who embrace patience, however, understand that every day of preparation, every small improvement, and every quiet effort is an investment in a future they will eventually dominate. Another hidden power of patience is its ability to create opportunities that are invisible to the impatient. While others are rushing, cutting corners, and seeking immediate wins, the patient are observing, learning, and positioning themselves. They notice gaps, understand timing, and act at the moment of maximum impact. When the impatient finally arrive, the patient are already 10 steps ahead, ready to capitalize on what others missed. Patience is also liberating. It removes the constant pressure to prove yourself, to perform, or to be recognized at every stage. When you are patient, you understand that timing is a weapon and that enduring the quiet, unseen work is far more valuable than seeking temporary acknowledgement. You free yourself from comparison, envy, and the distractions of those obsessed with speed. Ultimately, patience creates power because it aligns your energy, focus, and strategy with long-term impact rather than short-term validation. It allows you to endure, prepare, observe, and act with precision. It cultivates resilience, confidence, and mastery. It gives you control over your emotions, decisions, and trajectory. In 2026, when everyone is chasing the instant, the viral, and the immediate, the patient will rise above. They will achieve results that cannot be ignored, respect that cannot be forced, and power that cannot be challenged. Patience is not passive. It is not waiting idly. It is active preparation, quiet discipline, and strategic positioning. It is doing the work day after day without immediate recognition, trusting that the process compounds into unstoppable momentum. When you embrace patience, you realize that speed is nothing without direction, noise is nothing without clarity, and action is nothing without preparation. Power is created not by rushing, but by enduring, learning, perfecting, and executing at the right moment. Patience is strength disguised as calm. It is resilience disguised as stillness. It is control disguised as waiting. And those who master it in silence will achieve more, dominate more, and leave a legacy that the impatient can only envy. In the end, patience is not just a habit. It is a weapon, a strategy, and a mindset. When you commit to it, you transform delay into advantage, waiting into momentum, and quiet endurance into unstoppable power. Those who master patience will not only survive in 2026, they will thrive, conquer, and lead in ways that cannot be imitated, challenged, or interrupted. Avoiding external judgment is one of the most crucial steps you can take toward achieving real, unstoppable success. Too many people allow the opinions of others to dictate their actions, their choices, and even their sense of self-worth. In 2026, this pressure has never been greater. Every post, every decision, every move is scrutinized by a world that believes it has the right to comment, critique, and define your life. And while feedback can be useful, the constant weight of judgment, especially from people who do not understand your journey or your vision, is one of the fastest ways to derail your focus, steal your energy, and stunt your growth. Avoiding external judgment does not mean ignoring truth. It means refusing to let the unnecessary opinions of others dictate your path. It means understanding that most judgment comes from fear, envy, or misunderstanding, not wisdom. People judge what they cannot understand, criticize what they cannot replicate, and mock what they cannot achieve. When you allow their voices to influence you, you are no longer the driver of your own life. You are a passenger in the opinions of the uninformed. The truth is that the world will always have something to say about what you do, whether you succeed or fail. If you make a bold move, they will question your motives. If you take risks, they will warn you of danger. If you achieve greatness, they will whisper that luck, timing, or circumstances are to thank. Those who internalize these judgments become trapped. They hesitate, second guess, and delay their progress, allowing fear of criticism to dictate their every step. Avoiding external judgment is about reclaiming your power. It is about understanding that your life is yours, and the measure of your worth is not determined by anyone else's commentary. It is about silencing the noise that does not serve you and learning to trust your vision, your preparation, and your instincts. Every moment you spend trying to justify yourself to someone else is a moment you are not investing in yourself. Every time you anticipate criticism or worry about perception, you are losing energy, focus, and momentum that could be applied to your growth. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not those who avoid criticism completely. They understand that judgment is inevitable, but those who refuse to let it control them. They are impervious to the whispers, the sideways glances, and the doubters because their confidence and clarity come from within, not from external approval. Avoiding external judgment also frees you to be authentic. The moment you stop trying to fit into other people's expectations, you start operating at your highest level. You no longer compromise your values, your vision, or your strategy to appease critics or fit societal norms. You make decisions based on your goals, your principles, and your potential. You build a life that is true to you, and in that authenticity, you find power that cannot be challenged. Judgment from others often comes with emotional manipulation. People will try to make you feel guilty for being ambitious, ashamed for taking risks, or insecure for pursuing opportunities they cannot imagine. But when you learn to avoid external judgment, you shield yourself from this manipulation. You stop giving your attention to those who do not contribute to your growth, and you start investing your focus in the people, ideas, and opportunities that truly matter. Avoiding external judgment is also about mental clarity. The more you internalize other people's opinions, the more cluttered your mind becomes. The more you worry about what others think, the less energy you have for executing, creating, and building. Silence the judgment, and suddenly your mind is free to focus on mastery, innovation, and action. Freedom from judgment allows you to take bold steps. When you are not paralyzed by the fear of what others will say, you take risks that others avoid. You make decisions with courage, conviction, and clarity. You pursue opportunities that scare the unprepared, and you execute strategies that others cannot even imagine because they are shackled by the opinions of people who do not understand their potential. Avoiding external judgment also strengthens resilience. The more you expose yourself to opinions and criticism, the more vulnerable you become to emotional swings. When you detach from these judgments, your confidence becomes self-sustaining. You no longer rely on praise to feel worthy or validation to feel capable. You develop an unshakable mindset that can endure setbacks, criticism, and challenges without faltering. In addition, avoiding external judgment allows you to cultivate true relationships. People who are obsessed with others' opinions often attract toxic relationships, those built on envy, insecurity, or competition. By focusing on your own growth and not caring about unnecessary judgment, you surround yourself with people who respect your vision, support your journey, and push you toward excellence. Avoiding external judgment also accelerates progress. When you stop overthinking what others might think, you move faster, act bolder, and take ownership of your results. You stop wasting energy explaining yourself, defending your choices, or trying to predict reactions. Every action becomes intentional, and every step moves you closer to your goals. In 2026, the pressure to conform, to explain, and to justify is immense. Social media amplifies it. Your peers reinforce it, and society glorifies it. Those who survive and thrive are those who learn to navigate the noise, to act despite criticism, and to protect their energy from the unnecessary judgment of the uninformed. Avoiding external judgment does not make you selfish. It makes you strategic. It allows you to focus on your mission without distraction, to prioritize your growth without interference, and to execute without hesitation. Every time you give your energy to judgment, you dilute your power. Every time you act for approval, you compromise your potential. The strongest people are those who act with autonomy, clarity, and self-belief. They are guided by their principles, fueled by their purpose, and unstoppable because they have mastered the art of ignoring external judgment. Ultimately, avoiding external judgment is about freedom. Freedom to pursue your dreams, freedom to take risks, freedom to fail, learn, and rise without shame. Freedom to focus on results rather than perception. Freedom to live life on your own terms, not the terms dictated by those who cannot see your vision or understand your path. Those who master this principle become immune to distraction, impervious to fear, and unstoppable in their pursuit of excellence. Judgment is inevitable. Control over your reaction to it is mandatory. The moment you stop letting others define your worth, the moment you stop allowing their criticism to shape your choices, you step into a power that is absolute, relentless, and undeniable. Avoid external judgment, and nothing in the world can hold you back. Action over announcement is the principle that separates those who achieve greatness from those who only talk about it. In 2026, we live in a world obsessed with visibility, with appearances, with making sure that everyone knows what we are doing at every moment. Social media has amplified this obsession to the extreme. People feel the need to announce every goal, every intention, every step of progress, as if the mere act of telling the world they are doing something can somehow replace actually doing it. But here is the truth. Talking about your dreams does not move you closer to them. Posting about your goals does not make them real. Announcing what you plan to do is a public performance that often serves no purpose other than to satisfy your ego. Action over announcement is about understanding the world does not need to know your plans. It only responds to results. You could talk, strategize, and hype yourself up endlessly, but if you do not take deliberate, consistent, focused action, your words are empty. Real power, real progress, and real achievement come from what you do behind the scenes. Those who focus on action understand that the work is the work, and it does not require applause, validation, or recognition. Every step you take in silence compounds over time, building momentum, skill, and results that cannot be fabricated by speech. Announcing intentions before executing them creates unnecessary pressure and opens the door for judgment, doubt, and distraction. People will comment, question, or even criticize before you have done anything, and their opinions can disrupt your focus, shake your confidence, or misalign your priorities. By acting first and announcing later, you maintain control over your journey. Action over announcement also cultivates integrity and credibility. When you consistently act without broadcasting, your results eventually speak louder than any words ever could. People begin to recognize your value not because of the hype surrounding you, but because of the undeniable evidence of your accomplishments. This credibility is far more powerful than temporary attention, and it earns respect that cannot be demanded or faked. Another aspect of this principle is humility. Acting in silence requires patience, self-discipline, and a willingness to delay gratification. You resist the temptation to seek approval or recognition before your work is complete. This restraint strengthens character, builds mental toughness, and demonstrates that your purpose is bigger than applause or external validation. Action over announcement also sharpens focus. When you are not constantly worried about public perception or broadcasting your progress, your energy is fully directed toward execution. You are able to dedicate your mental, emotional, and physical resources to the steps that truly matter, rather than diluting them on performance, explanation, or justification. In addition, acting before announcing allows you to experiment, learn, and fail without exposure. The world does not need to witness every attempt, every misstep, or every iteration of your process. When you act quietly, you give yourself permission to make mistakes, learn from them, and refine your strategy without fear of criticism. This is how mastery is developed. It is in the quiet repetition, the unseen effort, and the uninterrupted focus that greatness is born. Those who announce before acting often fall into the trap of performing rather than producing. They become more concerned with the appearance of effort than the substance of results. They measure success by attention rather than achievement, and over time, this creates frustration, stagnation, and unfulfilled potential. Action over announcement eliminates this trap. It prioritizes execution over performance, results over recognition, and substance over showmanship. In 2026, the temptation to broadcast is relentless. Every platform, every notification, every trend encourages you to tell the world what you are doing, often before you have done it. But the people who rise above, who achieve extraordinary outcomes, are those who resist this temptation. They act, they execute, they grind in silence, and their results eventually speak volumes. This principle also builds momentum. Every completed action creates confidence, skill, and tangible progress. By focusing on action first, you establish a pattern of discipline that compounds over time. You become someone who delivers, someone whose word eventually carries weight because it is backed by results. Acting before announcing also inspires others in a deeper way than constant updates ever could. People notice those who quietly produce, who consistently show up, who handle their responsibilities, and who achieve measurable outcomes. Their influence grows naturally, organically, and authentically, rather than being manufactured through constant self-promotion. Action over announcement is also a form of self-respect. When you act before sharing, you demonstrate that your mission, your growth, and your results are valuable enough to work for, even without public recognition. You do not rely on external validation to motivate yourself. Your drive comes from within. And this internal discipline is a cornerstone of long-term success. Furthermore, acting first cultivates patience. You learn to trust the process, to value effort over attention, and to prioritize results over perception. You understand that the payoff is in the execution, not in the applause, and you develop a mindset that is resilient, persistent, and unstoppable. In practical terms, action over announcement means focusing on what you can control, your habits, your work ethic, your discipline, and your consistency. It means executing your plan in private, letting the results accumulate, and revealing them when the time is right. It means being strategic, intentional, and relentless while the world is distracted by noise and appearances. The consequences of ignoring this principle are clear. Those who constantly announce without acting risk embarrassment, public failure, and loss of credibility. They attract attention for all the wrong reasons. They expose their weaknesses, and they waste energy on validation that yields no real results. Those who embrace action over announcement, however, cultivate respect, mastery, and power that cannot be challenged. Ultimately, action over announcement is about alignment. It is about ensuring that your energy, focus, and resources are directed toward meaningful output rather than performative expression. It is about building a life and a legacy that is undeniable regardless of who is watching. In 2026, this principle is more relevant than ever. Noise is everywhere. Attention is fleeting, and the temptation to broadcast is overwhelming. Those who master the art of action first, announcement later, rise above the chaos. They achieve results that demand recognition, influence that is earned rather than begged for, and respect that cannot be given superficially. Action over announcement is not simply a strategy, it is a mindset. It is the understanding that results matter more than talk. Execution matters more than ego, and substance matters more than spectacle. Those who internalize this principle develop a discipline that becomes unstoppable, a focus that cannot be shaken, and a power that speaks for itself. The world may be loud, flashy, and obsessed with appearances, but action over announcement is the quiet, relentless engine that produces lasting success, undeniable influence, and legacy that will be remembered long after noise fades. In the end, those who act first, grind in silence, and let their results speak are the ones who dominate. They are the ones who succeed where others merely perform. They are the ones who understand that in 2026 and beyond, action will always outweigh announcement and results will always triumph over appearances. Building intrigue and building respect are intertwined skills that separate those who command attention, influence, and authority from those who are constantly overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed. In a world saturated with information, oversharing, and constant broadcasting, intrigue is a rare and powerful currency. People are no longer impressed by transparency, constant updates, or continuous explanations. They are impressed by results, mystery, discipline, and mastery. When you cultivate intrigue, you create a sense of curiosity around your life, your decisions, and your achievements. People begin to notice not because you tell them what you are doing, but because they want to know what you are capable of. Intrigue forces attention without you having to demand it, and attention, when paired with respect, is a lever of influence that can open doors, create opportunities, and amplify impact. The principle of building intrigue begins with restraint. It starts with the conscious decision not to reveal every detail of your life, your plans, or your progress. Most people overshare because they feel the need to justify themselves, to gain approval, or to impress others. But restraint communicates confidence, independence, and self-control. It signals to the world that you do not need validation, that your actions are deliberate, and that your results will speak louder than your explanations. Respect follows intrigue naturally. When people are curious about your abilities and see that you are disciplined enough to withhold unnecessary details, they begin to value your presence, your judgment, and your time. They recognize that you are not easily influenced, that your energy is guarded, and that your intentions are strategic. This is how respect is built. through consistent action, controlled exposure, and the quiet mastery of your own life. Building intrigue also requires deliberate focus on results. Intrigue alone without substance is superficial. It must be backed by achievement. People will sense inauthenticity, exaggeration, or empty promises, and your reputation will suffer. True intrigue comes from substance, the accomplishments, skills, and capabilities you quietly develop while others are distracted by noise, attention seeking, or the need for constant approval. People who build intrigue understand that what is seen publicly is only a fraction of the effort, struggle, and strategy behind their success. They allow their results to emerge as proof of their competence, and they do not feel compelled to explain the process, justify their decisions, or advertise their intentions. This patience and discretion create an aura of authority and elevate their presence in any room or situation. Another aspect of building intrigue is the intentional management of your personal brand. Every interaction, post, or communication should serve a purpose. Avoid the temptation to reveal everything. Instead, share selectively, strategically, and with purpose. When you control the narrative of your life, you control perception. You are no longer at the mercy of rumors, assumptions, or the opinions of those who do not understand your journey. Intrigue also creates leverage in relationships, business, and social dynamics. When people do not fully know your limits, your resources, or your plans, you gain the advantage of uncertainty. They are more likely to approach you with respect, defer to your judgment, and value your presence because they recognize that there is power in what they do not yet understand. Respect is built on consistency, integrity, and competence. Intrigue amplifies these qualities by creating curiosity, attention, and focus. Together, they form a combination that elevates your influence, amplifies your authority, and positions you as someone who cannot be ignored. Intrigue also cultivates discipline. When you are focused on results and hold back from oversharing, you train yourself to operate without constant approval or validation. You learn to value your own judgment, trust your own process, and prioritize your energy for actions that matter most. This discipline reinforces the respect you earn from others because they see that you are not easily swayed, distracted, or influenced by outside noise. People who master the art of building intrigue understand the power of timing. They know when to reveal achievements, when to share progress, and when to remain silent. This strategic timing magnifies impact, increases perceived value, and creates anticipation. The world notices those who act with intention, speak with precision, and reveal only what enhances their reputation and authority. Intrigue also inspires others to elevate themselves. People are drawn to mystery because it challenges them, motivates curiosity, and creates a desire to reach the level of discipline, skill, and accomplishment they observe. By building intrigue, you not only command attention, but also influence the environment around you, encouraging growth, respect, and ambition in those who witness your journey. Avoiding oversharing does not make you secretive in a negative sense. It makes you strategic. It allows you to control the flow of information, protect your energy, and maintain a position of strength. The less people know about your vulnerabilities, unfinished work, or private struggles, the more powerful your presence becomes. This is why those who are measured, disciplined, and selective in what they share often rise faster than those who feel compelled to broadcast every step. Another key to building intrigue is consistency in action. People notice patterns. They respect those who show up, deliver results, and demonstrate competence regularly. When this consistency is paired with selective visibility, the effect is amplified. People trust your abilities, admire your discipline, and are naturally curious about what you are capable of achieving next. Intrigue and respect are mutually reinforcing. Intrigue draws attention, creates curiosity, and establishes mystery. Respect solidifies influence, establishes credibility, and elevates your authority. Together, they form a combination that ensures you are taken seriously, valued consistently, and positioned as a person whose decisions, insights, and presence carry weight. In 2026, RLD is oversaturated with information, opinions, and attention-seeking behavior. The people who dominate, influence, and achieve extraordinary results are those who master the art of intrigue, who act deliberately, who reveal selectively, and who let their results define them. They understand that influence is not purchased with visibility, that respect is not granted through oversharing, and that power is cultivated through discipline, restraint, and consistent execution. Intrigue also cultivates patience and strategic foresight. When you do not feel compelled to share every victory or struggle, you allow yourself the time to build mastery, refine strategy, and position yourself for maximum impact. The anticipation created by this restraint amplifies the value of your work and the power of your results. Ultimately, building intrigue and building respect is about mastering control over your image, your energy, and your results. It is about being deliberate in what you reveal, consistent in your actions, and disciplined in your approach. Those who understand this principle create influence without forcing it, command attention without begging for it, and achieve results without announcing them prematurely. In the end, intrigue attracts attention. Respect solidifies influence, and the combination of both ensures that your work, presence, and legacy cannot be ignored. Those who master this principle rise above the noise, dominate their field, and leave an indelible mark on the world because people are drawn to their mystery, inspired by their competence, and compelled to respect their journey. Listen to me carefully. What you've learned today is not just advice, it's a blueprint for domination. Stop showing everything. Stop explaining every move. Stop seeking approval at every turn. The world does not need to see your progress. It only responds to results. You've been living in a culture of noise, distraction, and performance. But from this moment forward, you are stepping into a new way of thinking. Every post, every story, every update you've been obsessed with is not your power. It's a distraction. Your real power, the kind that cannot be bought, borrowed, or borrowed from likes and comments, lives in the unseen. Your growth, your discipline, your hustle, they are private. They are sacred. They are the fuel that will propel you past those who chase validation, past those who broadcast their intentions but never deliver, past those who settle for surface level recognition. You have the opportunity to become untouchable, unstoppable, and undeniable simply by reclaiming your energy. When you work in silence, you sharpen focus. When you resist the temptation to show, you strengthen patience. When you avoid external judgment, you build resilience. When you act first, you multiply results. And when you cultivate intrigue, respect finds you naturally. This is how legends are built. Not by attention, not by applause, not by constant explanation, but by relentless, unseen work that eventually explodes into undeniable results. Think about it. The people who dominate the world, who leave a mark that lasts, don't waste time proving themselves at every turn. They let results speak. They understand that action always outweighs announcement. They grind while everyone else is distracted by social media, by opinions, by likes, by comparisons. And when they finally step into the spotlight, the world has no choice but to recognize them because they earned it in silence, through discipline, sacrifice, and consistency. This is your call to shift your mindset. Stop performing for the crowd. Stop leaking your energy in constant explanations and public displays. Protect your time, protect your focus, protect your process. Guard it fiercely. Build yourself quietly, patiently, strategically, and relentlessly. When you do, doors will open, opportunities will multiply, and respect will find you without you having to chase it. The power of silence, patience, action, and intrigue is exponential. Once you internalize it, once you live it consistently, you will move differently. You will operate differently. You will be seen differently. And the people who doubted you, laughed at you, or underestimated you, they will be left in awe. Remember this, showing everything is the enemy of progress. Hiding in your grind, acting without announcing, growing without explaining. This is how champions are made. This is how legacies are forged. This is how you become more than just another person in the crowd. You become unstoppable. You have what it takes. You have the vision. You have the drive. The rest of the world can talk, comment, and judge all they want. Your job is simple, focus, execute, grow, and dominate in silence. Let 2026 be the year you stop performing for the world and start performing for your future. The moment you do that, nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop you.